Did you know that one of the most powerful women in history ruled Egypt with intelligence, beauty, and political mastery? Her name was Cleopatra, and her story has inspired legends for thousands of years. Born in the ancient city of Alexandria, Cleopatra was not just a queen, she was a strategist, a diplomat, and a leader who stood against the might of Rome. Her relationships with Julius Caesar and Mark Antony changed the course of history, and her reign marked the end of the pharaohs and the beginning of Roman rule in Egypt. In this video, you will follow her journey, learn about her rise to power, her fight to protect Egypt, and the legacy she left behind. As you listen, you will improve your English skills, learning new words, understanding deeper meanings, and connecting with one of history's most captivating tales. So sit back, listen carefully, and let the story of Cleopatra, the last pharaoh of Egypt, unfold. Because this is not just a story, it is a journey through power, love, and ambition. Did you know that one of history's most powerful queens ruled Egypt with charm, intelligence, and strategy? Her name was Cleopatra, and her legacy would be remembered for thousands of years. Cleopatra was born in 69 BC in the ancient city of Alexandria, Egypt. She was part of the Ptolemaic dynasty, a Greek family that had ruled Egypt for nearly 300 years. Unlike many rulers of her time, Cleopatra was highly educated. She spoke multiple languages, including Greek and Egyptian, making her one of the few Ptolemaic rulers who could speak to her people in their own language. From a young age, she learned about philosophy, politics, and military strategy. Her father, Ptolemy XII, was the king of Egypt, and she watched closely as he navigated the dangerous world of politics. Cleopatra was smart, observant, and ambitious. She knew that Egypt was a powerful nation, but she also understood its dangers. The Roman Empire was growing stronger, and Egypt's independence was constantly under threat. When Cleopatra's father died, she became co-ruler of Egypt with her younger brother, Ptolemy XIII. According to Egyptian tradition, she had to marry her brother to share the throne. But this partnership was not peaceful. Cleopatra's brother wanted full control of Egypt. He wanted to rule alone, and soon, conflict broke out between them. Cleopatra was forced to flee Egypt. Her brother's supporters drove her out of Alexandria, and she found herself exiled, far from the throne she believed was hers. But Cleopatra was not a woman who gave up easily. She knew that to reclaim her throne, she would need powerful allies, and there was no ally more powerful than Rome. At that time, Rome was the most powerful empire in the world. Its armies were strong, its influence unmatched. Cleopatra understood that if she could win Rome's support, she could take back Egypt. Her chance came with Julius Caesar, one of Rome's greatest generals. Caesar had arrived in Alexandria, and Cleopatra saw an opportunity. She knew that if she could meet with Caesar, she might convince him to help her. But her brother controlled the city, and she could not walk in openly. So Cleopatra devised a clever plan. She had herself rolled up in a large carpet and secretly delivered to Caesar's palace. When the carpet was unrolled, Cleopatra stood before Caesar, confident and unafraid. Caesar was impressed by her courage and intelligence. He listened as she spoke of her right to the throne and her desire to restore Egypt's power. Cleopatra's charm and wit won him over. She convinced him to help her reclaim her throne from her brother. Together, they planned their next move. Caesar's army clashed with the forces of Ptolemy XIII. The fighting was fierce, but Caesar's soldiers were well-trained and experienced. Cleopatra watched as her brother's forces were pushed back. The battle for Alexandria was brutal, but Caesar and Cleopatra emerged victorious. Ptolemy XIII fled the city but drowned in the Nile while trying to escape. With her brother gone, Cleopatra reclaimed the throne of Egypt. She was now the undisputed ruler, with Caesar's support ensuring her place as queen. But Cleopatra's ambitions did not end with Egypt. She wanted to strengthen her alliance with Rome and secure her kingdom's future. She and Caesar became more than just political allies. Their relationship grew stronger, and soon, Cleopatra gave birth to a son named Caesarion. Cleopatra hoped that Caesarion would one day rule Egypt and perhaps even Rome. She dreamed of a powerful alliance that would protect Egypt from its enemies. To solidify their partnership, Cleopatra traveled to Rome with Caesar. Her presence in Rome caused a sensation. She was unlike any woman the Romans had seen before. Her beauty, Her intelligence and her confidence captivated the people of Rome. Some admired her, others feared her influence over Caesar. Cleopatra lived in Rome for a time, learning about Roman politics and strengthening her alliance. But her presence also sparked controversy. Many in Rome did not trust her. They saw her as a foreign queen trying to control their great leader. Whispers of conspiracy spread through the streets, but Cleopatra was unbothered. She focused on building her power and securing her son's future. She believed that with Caesar by her side, Egypt's future was secure. But fate had different plans. In 44 BC, Julius Caesar was assassinated by a group of Roman senators. His death shook Rome and left Cleopatra vulnerable. Without Caesar's protection, Cleopatra faced new dangers. She returned to Egypt, knowing that her fight for power was far from over. Her dream of ruling alongside Caesar was gone, but Cleopatra was not finished. She began to look for new allies, new ways to protect her throne and her son. Cleopatra was determined to keep Egypt strong, no matter the cost. Her story was far from over, and her next move would change history once again. With Julius Caesar gone, Cleopatra found herself alone in a dangerous world. Her powerful ally was dead, and Rome was in chaos. Civil war had broken out, and the struggle for power was fierce. Cleopatra knew that she needed a new ally. Rome was still the most powerful force in the world, and she needed its support to secure her throne and protect Egypt. Her opportunity came in the form of Mark Antony, one of Rome's most powerful generals. Antony was strong, charismatic, and ambitious. He was also one of the leaders fighting for control of Rome. Cleopatra saw a chance to form a new alliance. She sent word to Antony, inviting him to meet her in Tarsus. Antony accepted, curious to see the famous Queen of Egypt. When Cleopatra arrived, she did so with style and grandeur. She sailed up the river in a magnificent ship, its sails of purple silk and its oars made of silver. Musicians played, and the scent of incense filled the air. Antony was stunned by the display. Cleopatra's beauty, confidence, and charm captivated him. She knew how to make an entrance, and she knew how to win his favor. The two quickly became allies, both politically and romantically. Their partnership was powerful, uniting the strength of Rome and the wealth of Egypt. Cleopatra returned to Alexandria with Antony by her side. Together, they ruled Egypt and parts of the Roman territories, building their power and their influence. Their relationship grew stronger, and Cleopatra gave birth to twins, a boy and a girl. Antony acknowledged them as his own, further solidifying their alliance. But their union was not without its challenges. In Rome, many saw Antony's relationship with Cleopatra as a betrayal. They feared her influence over him and believed that she was trying to control Rome through Antony. Octavian, the adopted son of Julius Caesar, was especially troubled. He saw Cleopatra as a threat to his own power and began to spread rumors against her and Antony. He accused them of plotting against Rome, of trying to create their own empire separate from the Republic. The tension between Antony and Octavian grew stronger, and the whispers of war began to spread. Cleopatra knew that war with Rome would be dangerous, but she believed in Antony's strength and her own power. She was determined to stand by him, even if it meant facing the might of Rome. In 31 BC, the conflict came to a head at the Battle of Actium. It was one of the greatest naval battles of the ancient world. Cleopatra and Antony's combined forces faced off against Octavian's navy. The fighting was fierce, the ships crashing against each other in a brutal struggle for dominance. Cleopatra commanded her own fleet, fighting alongside Antony. But Octavian's forces were stronger and better prepared. One by one, Cleopatra's ships began to fall. Realizing that the battle was lost, she made the decision to retreat back to Egypt. Antony followed her, leaving the battle behind. It was a devastating defeat, and they both knew that Rome would come for them. Back in Alexandria, they prepared for the worst. Cleopatra fortified the city, gathering her armies and making plans to defend her kingdom. But hope was fading. Octavian's forces marched toward Egypt, determined to bring Cleopatra and Antony to justice. The city of Alexandria was surrounded, and there was nowhere left to run. Antony, believing that Cleopatra had betrayed him, fell into despair. In his grief, he took his own life. His loyalty to Cleopatra had cost him everything. Cleopatra was heartbroken, but she remained strong. She knew that Octavian would soon enter the city, and she would have to face him alone. Her story was far from over. Even with Antony gone, Cleopatra was not ready to surrender. She was determined to control her own fate, no matter the cost. Cleopatra knew that Octavian would soon arrive in Alexandria. The great Roman general was now her enemy, and he was coming with a powerful army to claim Egypt for Rome. But Cleopatra was not ready to surrender. She began preparing for war, fortifying the city and gathering what forces she had left. She was determined to defend her kingdom, even if it seemed impossible. She met with her advisors, planning strategies and discussing how to resist the coming invasion. Cleopatra knew that Rome's army was stronger, but she believed that with the right strategy, she could hold them off. Octavian's forces surrounded Alexandria, cutting off supplies and weakening the city's defenses. His army was disciplined and well-trained, and his plan was to starve the city into submission. Cleopatra tried to negotiate with Octavian, sending messages of peace and promises of alliance, but Octavian refused. He saw her as a threat to his power and was determined to bring her to Rome as a prisoner. As the siege continued, Cleopatra's hopes began to fade. Her soldiers were hungry, her people were suffering, and Octavian's forces grew stronger each day. Realizing that defeat was near, Cleopatra began to prepare for her final days. She knew that Octavian would capture her, and she refused to be paraded through Rome as a trophy. Cleopatra was a queen, and she wanted to die as one. She made preparations in her palace, surrounding herself with treasures and symbols of her reign. She dressed in her finest robes, adorned with jewels and gold. It was then that she made her final choice. She would not be taken as a prisoner. She would not be humiliated. She would die on her own terms as the last pharaoh of Egypt. The legend says that Cleopatra ordered a basket of figs to be delivered to her chamber. Hidden within the basket was an asp, a venomous snake known for its quick and deadly bite. Cleopatra took the snake into her hands, unafraid. She knew that this was her final act of defiance, her last moment of power. The asp struck, and Cleopatra fell to the floor, her reign ending in silence. When Octavian entered her chambers, he found her lifeless body. He had come to take her as his prisoner, but she had denied him that victory. Cleopatra had died as a queen, refusing to be paraded through the streets of Rome. Octavian was both impressed and frustrated by her final act. He had won the war, but Cleopatra had taken her own fate into her hands. With her death, Egypt fell under Roman control. The Ptolemaic dynasty had ended, and Egypt became a province of Rome. Octavian returned to Rome, where he would soon become Augustus, the first Roman emperor. But Cleopatra's legacy did not fade. Her story spread across the ancient world, becoming a symbol of power, beauty, and defiance. She was remembered as a woman who fought for her kingdom, who stood against Rome, and who chose her own destiny. Her life became a legend, inspiring poets, writers, and artists for generations. Cleopatra, the last queen of Egypt, was gone, but her memory lived on. Her name became a symbol of strength and ambition, a reminder of what it meant to rule with power and grace. Cleopatra's story, filled with love, war, and sacrifice, would be told for thousands of years. Her legacy remained, a testament to the power of a single woman who stood against the might of Rome. Cleopatra's spirit lived on, a queen forever remembered in the pages of history. After Cleopatra's death, Egypt was no longer a powerful kingdom. It became a province of Rome, ruled not by pharaohs, but by Roman governors. The once great city of Alexandria was now under Roman control. Its palaces, its temples, and its treasures all belonged to Rome. Egypt, the land of the Nile, the land of the pyramids, was just another part of the Roman Empire. Octavian returned to Rome as a hero. His victory over Antony and Cleopatra solidified his power. He declared himself Augustus, the first emperor of Rome, and Egypt became his personal property. The riches of Egypt flowed into Rome. Its grain fed the people of the empire, its treasures filled the vaults of Roman leaders. Cleopatra's dream of an independent Egypt was gone, replaced by the rule of foreign leaders. But Cleopatra's legacy did not fade. Her story became a legend, a tale of love, power, and tragedy. Poets and writers told her story for generations, capturing her beauty, her intelligence, and her strength. Her life was immortalized by historians and artists. Statues were built, paintings were created, and plays were written, each capturing the spirit of the queen who defied Rome. Even the Romans who conquered her could not ignore her legacy. Cleopatra was remembered not just as a ruler, but as a woman who stood against the greatest empire the world had ever known. Her relationship with Julius Caesar, her alliance with Mark Antony, and her tragic end became part of history's greatest stories. She was remembered as more than just a queen. She was a symbol of power, ambition, and courage. Her intelligence and political skill were unmatched. She spoke multiple languages, ruled with confidence, and navigated the dangerous world of politics with grace and strength. Her ability to form powerful alliances with Rome's most influential men showed her strategic mind. Cleopatra understood the importance of power, and she used her influence to protect Egypt for as long as she could. Even after her death, Cleopatra continued to inspire. Her legacy lived on in art, literature, and history. She became a symbol of feminine power, a reminder that women, too, could rule with strength and wisdom. The great poets of Rome wrote of her beauty and her grace. Historians recorded her life as a tale of ambition and tragedy. Her name became legendary, a story told through the ages. Cleopatra's memory remained strong in Egypt as well. Her image was carved into temples, her name written into the history of the pharaohs. The people of Egypt remembered her as their last true queen. Though Rome controlled Egypt, Cleopatra's influence could still be felt. Her story of defiance and strength inspired generations. She was not just a ruler, she was a legend. Her life served as a powerful reminder that even in the face of the greatest empires, one woman's courage and ambition could change history. Cleopatra's legacy did not fade with time. It grew stronger, becoming a symbol of what it meant to be powerful, intelligent, and unyielding. Her story was written into the history of the world, a tale of love, power, and the fight for freedom. Cleopatra, the last pharaoh of Egypt, would be remembered forever. Cleopatra's story did not fade with her death. Instead, it grew larger, becoming a legend that would inspire generations. Her life was remembered as a tale of ambition, power, and unyielding strength. Writers and historians from Rome and beyond captured her story in words. The great Roman poet Virgil wrote of her beauty and her charm, while historians like Plutarch recorded her political skill and intelligence. Even after her kingdom had fallen, Cleopatra's image remained strong. Statues of her were built, paintings were created, and plays were written to honor her memory. Her life became a symbol of power and tragedy. But it was not just in Rome that she was remembered. In Egypt, her name was carved into temples and monuments. She was honored as the last pharaoh, the last true ruler of Egypt before it fell under Roman control. Her story crossed borders and generations, inspiring artists and writers from different cultures. Cleopatra became a figure of fascination, a queen who defied empires and ruled with strength and beauty. In the Middle Ages, her legend continued to grow. European writers spoke of her charm and her tragic love stories with Julius Caesar and Mark Antony. Her life became the subject of plays and poems, capturing her legacy for new audiences. One of the most famous works inspired by Cleopatra is William Shakespeare's play, Antony and Cleopatra. Written in the early 1600s, it tells the story of her romance with Mark Antony, their rise to power, and their tragic end. Shakespeare's portrayal of Cleopatra was powerful and emotional. He showed her not just as a queen, but as a woman of great depth and passion. His play became a classic, keeping Cleopatra's story alive for centuries. Her legend also inspired countless artists. Paintings of Cleopatra's dramatic moments, like her meeting with Julius Caesar or her final moments with the asp, were created by the great artists of Europe. Her image was captured in sculptures and mosaics, each one a tribute to her beauty and power. Cleopatra became more than just a historical figure. She became a symbol of strength, intelligence, and defiance. But her influence was not just in art and literature. Cleopatra also became a symbol of feminine power. She ruled a kingdom, commanded armies, and held her own against the might of Rome. She was remembered as a leader who fought for her people and stood against the greatest empire of her time. Her story inspired women throughout history to seek power, to lead, and to make their voices heard. Cleopatra's life became a reminder that women, too, could change the course of history. Her legacy grew stronger with each telling, capturing the imaginations of people around the world. Today, her name is still known. Movies, books, and plays continue to tell her story, each one adding to the legend of the queen who refused to surrender. Cleopatra's life remains one of the greatest tales of power and ambition. She lived in a time when women were rarely seen as leaders, yet she ruled one of the most powerful kingdoms in the world. Her alliances with Julius Caesar and Mark Antony showed her skill in politics and strategy. Her ability to charm and persuade some of the most powerful men of her time made her a figure of fascination and respect. Cleopatra's story lives on as a testament to the strength of women, the power of ambition, and the lasting impact of true leadership. Her life may have ended in tragedy, but her legacy continues to inspire. She was the last pharaoh of Egypt, a queen whose name would be remembered for thousands of years. Cleopatra's story is a reminder that true power is not easily forgotten. Cleopatra's legacy lived on far beyond her lifetime. Her life and reign became a symbol of power, intelligence, and defiance against great empires. Throughout history, she was remembered not only for her relationships with Julius Caesar and Mark Antony, but for her ability to rule Egypt with strength and wisdom. Her image became legendary. Artists from ancient Rome to Renaissance Europe painted her likeness, capturing her beauty and grace. Her name was written in the history books as a queen who stood against the might of Rome. But her legacy was more than just art and legend. Cleopatra's reign marked the end of the Egyptian pharaohs and the beginning of Roman rule. Her choices and her alliances shaped the future of Egypt for centuries to come. When Rome took control of Egypt, it became one of the empire's richest provinces. Its grain fed the people of Rome, and its culture influenced Roman art, architecture, and knowledge. The city of Alexandria, which Cleopatra ruled from, became a center of learning and culture. Its great library was one of the largest in the world, holding knowledge from across the known world. Scholars and philosophers gathered there to study, to learn, and to share ideas. Even after Cleopatra's death, her influence on culture and learning continued to grow. Cleopatra's story inspired writers for centuries. Her life was told and retold in plays, books, and movies. Shakespeare's Antony and Cleopatra brought her story to the stage, making her a symbol of tragic love and powerful ambition. In modern times, Cleopatra remains a powerful figure. Her name is still spoken with respect and fascination. Her life has been the subject of countless films, novels, and historical studies. Historians continue to explore her legacy, examining her role as a leader and a queen. Her ability to command respect and loyalty, even in the face of powerful enemies, is still admired. Cleopatra remains a symbol of strength and intelligence. She ruled in a time when women were rarely seen as leaders, yet she held power over one of the most important kingdoms in the ancient world. Her influence stretched beyond Egypt. Her alliances with Rome changed the course of history. Her relationship with Julius Caesar and Mark Antony shaped the future of the Roman Empire. But Cleopatra was more than just a queen. She was a strategist, a diplomat, and a leader who understood the power of politics. Her ability to form alliances and command respect set her apart from many rulers of her time. Even now, thousands of years after her death, Cleopatra's legacy endures. Her life is studied in schools, her image is displayed in museums, and her story continues to inspire those who seek power and influence. Cleopatra's life is a reminder that true power is not defined by birth or title. It is defined by strength, intelligence, and the ability to face even the greatest challenges with confidence. Her legacy lives on in the history of Egypt and the stories told around the world. Cleopatra, the last pharaoh of Egypt, remains one of history's greatest queens, a symbol of what it means to rule with power and grace. Her story, filled with ambition, love, and tragedy, is not just history, it is legend. Cleopatra's name will live on, remembered as the queen who defied Rome and chose her own destiny. Cleopatra's life may have ended in tragedy, but her legacy lived on for centuries. Her story became a legend of power, intelligence, and defiance. Even after her death, her influence shaped the world of politics, literature, and art. Her name is still remembered, her story still told. She was the last pharaoh of Egypt, a queen who dared to challenge Rome, and a woman who chose her own destiny. Thank you for joining us on this journey through her life. If you were inspired by her story, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this video. And let us know in the comments, what part of Cleopatra's journey amazed you the most? Remember, history is not just about the past. It is the story of those who shape the world we live in today. Until next time, keep learning, keep exploring, and keep discovering the power of history.